to foresee and direct a continued growth to yet bigger years. We build a heritage for the future by meeting our obligations to the years at hand. Now, there's a lot that meets the eye in this business of Coca-Cola, but when you boil it all down, it's just two things. One, getting a good product. Two, getting people to drink that product. One has to do with production, the other with merchandising. In those years, the bottlers of Coca-Cola were hipped on production.
Well, if you ever get out to my part of the country, I want you to stop in and see a real plant. Why, I've got the neatest operation.
Yeah, we know,
Plant inspector said so.
Well, I know how you feel. I'm mighty proud of my new layout.
Everything's just about perfect. Gas pressure, syrup throw.
How about your new soaker?
Fine, fine. Why, those bottles come out shining, just like everything else around the place.
All this talk about plants and equipment was really talk about standards. In those years, the bottlers of Coca-Cola did some headwork on bottling standards. And some other men of Coca-Cola did some headwork on manufacturing standards. In those years, each one of our manufacturing plants established a modernly equipped laboratory. Graduate food chemists were employed to analyze each ingredient that goes into the making of Coca-Cola. Each ingredient. And each finished batch of syrup had to measure up to certain set standards before it was shipped to any bottler of Coca-Cola. Bottling standards, manufacturing standards. Don't they all add up as answers to obligations? Obligations to the people who spend their nickels for Coca-Cola? Of course they do. In our advertising, we promised a drink that was healthful, palatable, and uniform. And inside our plants and laboratories, we did the kind of work that backed up that promise. Those were the big years, and with them we grew big. But we realized that bigness is also a responsibility. We realized that bigness is only justified by better performance. It's just head work and horse sense that tells you to meet your obligations to the years at hand. Meet your obligations. Keep your promises. Put feet on your dreams. That's the way to assure continued growth. That's the way to build a business. And for such a business, there's always heritage. There's always future. And there's always tomorrow. That was true back there in the 20s. And if you're thinking, like I'm thinking, you're thinking it's just as true today. Today? Oh, yes, I'd almost forgotten about those headlines. Extra, extra, worry all about it. I'd almost forgotten those big years known as the 20s didn't start out so big. Those 20s started out with the Depression, too. Only we didn't call it a depression in those years.
Things just aren't normal now. But we'll get back all right. We'll get back to normalcy.
Say, aren't you Jed Hawley's boy?
That's right. I'm Ben Hawley.
Well, you look mighty down in the mouth. What's wrong?
When you see an ex-soldier sitting on a park bench, what's usually wrong?
No job?
No job.
Well, buck up. You'll find something.
Keep smiling. Just keep smiling.
Yeah, keep smiling. I know.
It was right after the war, remember? Right after the war. The boys came back from somewhere in France, and I remember the parade in our town, the Victory Parade. The plant was on Juniper Street then, and...
Bill, unless you can see it better, come in here. You can see it better. Larry, watch the parade. Come on, Larry, it's a parade. Oh, they're coming down Juniper. Come on. Yeah, here they come. Come on, Larry. Oh, girl. Is it all right if I tear up the telephone book?
No, it isn't all right if you tear up the telephone book.
They tore him up in New York City. I saw it in the movies.
This isn't New York City. There's Harry. There's George. Hey, George! 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 Hey! Hey! Attaboy!
Stop it! Stop it! Stop it!
The boys didn't all come back. Some of the boys were still somewhere in France. Ellie's young man was with them in that somewhere. Ellie's young man was an honor roll name on the wall in our plant. A business is like a family, if you know what I mean.
Oh, dear. Oh, dear.
What are you worrying about now, Larry?
Do you know the United States is at war? Do you realize the government is rationing sugar?
I did see something about it in the headlines.
Those headlines. Those headlines. I don't know what the world's coming to.
Are you worrying about the world or just the sugar shortage?
Both. We'll never survive this war. Coca-Cola, the country, or any of us.
Hiya, Joe.
Hello, Sam. What's on your mind?
All these soldiers in town, they've cleaned up my dad out of Coca-Cola.
Okay, Sam. I'll send over a couple of cases.
Have you seen Grover?
Uh-huh.
Gosh, it's a swell uniform he's got. Wished I had a uniform like Grover's. Where's Miss Ellie?
Mr. Westlake gave her the day off.
I bet I know why. You want to know something? Miss Ellie's mighty sweet on Grover.
Run along, Sammy, please. Don't you see I'm busy?
Bye.
Grover, darling, I'm frightened.
Now, Ellie. Remember you said you weren't
Yes,
going
I know. I said I wouldn't cry, and I'm not crying. It's just... Oh, darling, I love you so very much.
Don't you worry. Why, it'll all be over soon. I'll be back. Back driving that old truck for Jim Westlake. And you'll quit that job in the office. We'll get married and have a home and...
The long trail that leads back through the years isn't always a comfortable journey. Those war years were dark years. But we had faith, faith in the future, faith that we would come through, faith that if this country didn't remain a country, didn't survive, then no country on earth would survive. Faith. No battle is won without it. 2 bottles of Coca-Cola.